And now moving to California, where thousands of immigrant truck drivers, many of them of Indian origin, are facing the possible loss of their livelihoods after the state moved to cancel their commercial driver's license. The drivers have now launched a legal challenge against the California Department of Motor Vehicles, arguing that they're being punished for clerical errors made by the state itself. At the center of the dispute are more than 20,000 commercial driver's licenses issued to immigrant drivers. On November 6th, the California DMV sent 60-day cancellation notices to around 17,000 drivers, warning that their licenses will, in fact, be revoked. As the review continues, that figure rose to more than 20,000, with some estimates placing it closer to actually 21. Now, according to the DMV, the action followed a federal audit that flagged license issued with expiring dates extending beyond the period for which drivers were legally authorized to stay and work in the United States. Officials said the cancellations were necessary to comply with federal immigration rules, but drivers as well as civil rights groups strongly dispute the claims. The class action suit filed earlier this week argues that the problem stems from administrative mistakes by the DMV, not wrongdoing by the drivers themselves. In fact, the lawsuit argued that under California law, the agency is required to correct such errors or allow license holders to apply for amended documents. Instead, the lawsuit claims the DMV halted the issuing, renewal, and correction of non-resident CDLs, leaving drivers with no clear path to fix the issue.
The state of California must help these drivers because the clerical errors threatening their livelihoods are of the state's own making.
Now, the current crisis didn't emerge in isolation. In fact, it follows heightened federal pressure after a series of deadly truck crashes involving immigrant drivers. Earlier this year, a fatal accident in Florida became a national political flashpoint. And in that case, the driver accused of being in the country illegally was charged with vehicular homicide after a crash that killed 3 people. A similar fatal crash in California later added to the scrutiny. And following these incidents, federal authorities criticized several states, including California, for what they described as lax licensing standards and pushed for stricter enforcement of immigration and language rules for commercial drivers.
We at DOT and federal motor carriers, we are not going to tolerate states that don't comply with the rules that come from this department. And so we are going to, first of all, we've identified several states that have not been in compliance. That would be Washington, California, and New Mexico. Those are the three states that have not complied with this rule.
Now, the California DMV has declined to comment on the lawsuit, but has previously said that it was prepared to reissue licenses if federal objections are lifted. However, the plaintiffs argue the agency has already had the authority under state law to correct or reinstate the licenses without waiting for Washington. And as the case heads to court, thousands of drivers remain in limbo, waiting to see whether the law will restore their right to work or whether this legal fight will mark a turning point for immigrant truckers across the U.S.
Want the facts?
The latest developments?
News that gets straight to the point.
Well, we've got all 3 just for you. This is Firstpost Live, a brand new show, your window into what really matters.
Don't miss it.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
At $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor,
Hindi,
$30 trillion kakaijmo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Sekali radikali.
Japanese,
4 兆ドル以上も
Portuguese,
por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.